If you came away and said, okay, this was the thing I most enjoyed about doing politics, then what would it be?
It's sort of personalised in a way that lecture halls aren't. The thing about it is being able to discuss it in the class on sort of like a personal level and discuss things that are happening.
Other subjects at A levels, it was kind of you go in and you start doing work immediately, whereas you head into a politics class and you kind of have those first 10 minutes where you just discuss what's been happening, talk to each other, have the debates with each other, see other people's views. It's not just, and it all links in to the like exams at the end, so it's all useful.
Sort of like the atmosphere is really good, and it's not something that if you haven't, like, I don't think you can do it at GCSE, so everyone basically starts from the same point, so it's not you're going to be really behind on anything, and it's just good to be able to argue things through, and it teaches you a lot about sort of the way if you're thinking about exams, it teaches you, at least it taught me the way to structure an essay that I applied to my other A levels, so that was good. I really enjoyed that. And it's a really nice sort of like it's very friendly, which is odd for politics, but like the atmosphere is like.
I look forward to my classes every day, and just in general the department is so kind and they do so much for everybody. The amount of resources and extra classes that I went to when I didn't understand something, the amount of extra essays I did that got marked, which must have been so much work, but everybody in the politics department is just happy to help. And just in general, it's a really friendly atmosphere and just 100% my favourite lesson at college. And honestly, I'm just so glad that I did politics, and I can't express enough just how much I enjoyed myself and how good it was. And I know that all my friends who did politics also think the same thing. So if you're on the fence and you're not sure about it, I would say definitely do it.
Right, so second question. Which topic did you like best? Okay.
I mean, US politics was by far my favourite. Second year, I think, was the best, especially when we were looking at like the presidential campaigns and all the different parts of the election and stuff. That was really, really interesting to me.
I think my favourite topic was feminism. It was something that I was already passionate about, but then getting to have those debates in class and kind of hear other people's perspectives and other people's experiences as well really made me more interested.
But the US politics was like most interesting to me because I thought I knew quite a lot about it, but like turns out I actually didn't. Different that the Senate and the House of Representatives are was like it was completely new to me. I thought I knew how it worked and I just completely didn't.
The topic that I liked studying the most was definitely America, and then within America probably Supreme Court cases, because you could kind of guide your own essay question answers and make them really unique just by choosing unique cases that interested you the most.
I really enjoyed learning about the core ideologies and the non-core ideology of feminism. I thought that they were really important regarding the whole course as a whole, because the way that certain people think and the way that certain ideologies think can then be applied to the more modern and contemporary kind of things that we would learn about to do with UK government and US government.
Because I really like the executive, because you can sort of like get into sort of like the stuff that prime ministers of the past have done. You can compare them to present day prime ministers. Like I remember the exam question on like one of the source papers was about Theresa May being like a strong or a weak prime minister or something like that. And you could do comparisons between prime ministers, which is fun personally for me, I guess.
I also really enjoyed discussing like the conflict between individual human rights and then the Constitution. It's just so relevant, especially what's going on now with the Black Lives Matter movement and Trump and the Supreme Court and his nominees and stuff. It's just so relevant, and so I think learning about America really helped me understand, I guess, the political significance. Yeah, America as a whole was definitely my favourite part of the course.
What did you like about the way we did politics in the classroom?
I like the way we, like, again, like how we discussed stuff, and it was very open and sort of level. It was sort of a bit of a level playing field. There wasn't sort of any sort of dictating what you could or couldn't say.
We did like the relay tasks where like we all worked at our own tables, and then there was a very big competitive nature in the room, which was quite fun. But it was also being able to consolidate that knowledge in like a really fun and useful way, and like working together on it was really useful.
Both Tony and Dom know pretty much everything you could ask. And it just, even if you don't really care, you will end up caring. So it's worth taking, and even just to know about like the world around you. If you don't have a third subject and you're vaguely interested, I would say take it.
Either Washington or London, have you got something nice to say about those? About something that you took away from it, or something you particularly liked about those activities?
I think one of the greatest things about Washington was actually like sitting in the Senate and like the House of Representatives and just being there and like seeing it unfold before your eyes. I think is an experience that you can never really have again. You can never really explain fully the feeling of actually being there and seeing it. And Nancy Pelosi walking in and like seeing them all do the pledge was just, it was mad.
So I went on both of the trips to London and to Washington. It was so nice getting to actually visit the Houses of Parliament. And I'd been to the Houses of Parliament before, but it was so nice getting to sit in a boardroom with Jenny Chapman and just ask her questions. I never considered even going to uni in London until after that London trip. And I started to think that actually it would be something I would really like to do.
Going to London and seeing Parliament, which I really loved. And I've been to London, like the number of times I've been to London, I can count on one hand. But like seeing sort of Parliament and the inside of Parliament and sitting in, is it the gallery? We like came in after PMQs, but we just, it was just sort of an experience, and the feel of it is really great. And seeing the House of Lords was fun as well, because you could sort of like, I think some people said you could see like Lord Sugar, which I didn't. I didn't believe that happened.
The Washington trip, I think, is one of my favourite memories just ever. Washington was so fun. Like, it was probably one of my favourite weeks ever, and definitely my favourite thing that I got to do with college. Literally everything from getting in the coach, getting the plane, like you really bond with your class and the people that you're going with. And there were so many people that I'd never spoken to before, as well as people from my class. So there was a good mix, and it was just so good getting to speak to people that I wouldn't necessarily have spoken to before.
The most enjoyable things about the course as well was the opportunity to visit Washington DC. With my cohort, we visited Washington DC in February 2018 and we spent 6 days there. We got to visit Congress, we saw the Lincoln Memorial, we walked down the National Mall.
There are so many good memories that I don't think I could pick a favourite part, but I loved going to speak to different interest groups. It was so interesting getting an insight into their jobs and how they worked. Hilary Shelton, who's the vice president of the NAACP, oh my god, he's the friendliest man ever. It was so nice speaking to him. That part of the trip has made me look at internships at pressure groups in London, and has made me really interested in working with pressure groups and NGOs after my degree, because I think they do really good work in lobbying government.
I was lucky enough to get to go to Washington. We got to see the Supreme Court, which was a highlight of the trip. I absolutely loved going to see that. And we also had a talk from the NAACP. I think we all found that kind of really engaging, and we got to ask lots of questions, and it was definitely one of the highlights, a really interesting part of the trip. I would definitely recommend going on that trip if you can.
We also had the opportunity to visit the National Aeronautics Space Museum, one of the national museums they have there, where it has the moon rocks and the space rockets. But also it was very good for learning about US politics, because not only did it allow us to pretty much visualise everything we'd learned about US politics on the course, but we also were able to gain further information. We visited the offices of some pressure groups, and we learnt about the policies and action they were taking to campaign for and against different policies that were being debated in Congress.
My other favourite part of the trip was definitely the basketball game that we got to go to. That was just so fun and such a different experience from, I don't know, a football game or any UK sports really. Yeah, DC was definitely one of the best times ever, so if you get an opportunity to go, I would say 100% go for it. It was just amazing.
Was there another type of event or another type of activity that we did which wasn't in the lesson and wasn't London or Washington, which you thought was useful or you enjoyed?
Yeah, I think when it was like a Model UN type thing, when I can't remember his name, but he came in from the outside and we had the like scenario and we were all different countries we were all assigned to. It was really fun to have, like, because often you're just resigned to like your own class and you only kind of communicate with those in your class, but having everyone from your year that does politics there, and just the activity itself was just amazing to like examine the scenario and kind of work with other people, make alliances and stuff. It was really, really great.
Similar vein, I think it was something we did in first year where we did like a mocked up coalition agreement. And I really enjoyed doing that. That was so much fun. Like I look back at that, I'm like, oh yes, good times. That was great.
The debate between Peter Gibson and Jenny Chapman before the general election, I thought that was very interesting. Even though I don't like, it's not my constituency, I thought it was really interesting to see a Conservative try and argue why he should be elected in Darlington.
I think that Jenny's visits were really great, kind of like an outside the classroom activity, because not only were they really frequent, but they were really engaging for a lot of young people who aren't old enough to vote yet. As an MP and a representative would come and speak to us and listen to our queries, and we could question her and feel engaged in a politics that was kind of political activity outside of voting.
How has politics helped you in life after QE?
There's one topic called an Introduction to Democratic Politics, which is just essentially recapping the whole politics A level, and it's been a massive help for that specifically, and that's given me a bit of a leg up in doing the degree if I did the A level, so that's really good.
We did a lot of teamwork as well in my degree, so being able to know how to talk to people and recognise what they're saying and not try to like override that, and just being able to actually talk and communicate properly is also really, really useful.
I learned that not everybody thinks the same way that I do, which is really important because it made me understand how important my beliefs are to me. So by realising that people are different and people's beliefs come from different parts of their upbringing or the society that they live in, that's also applicable to me, and kind of made it more important that I stand up for what I believe in.
So politics has helped me in my life after QE just immensely. Like, I would not be taking my degree if I hadn't done politics. I'm currently studying international relations at King's College London. And my personal statement was very politics oriented, which I would not have been able to do without Tony's help. And in first year on my course, I found a lot of people didn't actually study politics at school at all. And so we covered a lot of ideological theories, which I was already familiar with and a lot of people weren't. So I found that just gave me a little bit of a boost.
And the way I now understand the US Constitution has influenced my way of thinking about the Black Lives Matter movement, and how actually while everybody is supposed to be equal constitutionally in the USA, it's not necessarily true. And the teaching of A-level politics has made me understand that.